Hello and welcome back to MMA Latest News. My name is James Sweetnam and we've got an absolutely terrific show coming up for you today.
What does this fight mean for mental health awareness?
Well, it means absolutely everything, Liv. Tyson Fury is a man who, against all the odds, beat Vladimir Klitschko for the world titles 3 years ago. Unfortunately, though, he ended up in a world of depression, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, suffered from bipolar disorder as well. Everybody said he was a finished fighter, but he came back against all the odds, lost all the weight, took on 2 really easy fights, then he jumped straight back in with the world heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder. Wilder, the American, was fighting on home turf and is potentially the hardest puncher in boxing history. It was a huge ask for Tyson Fury to get through the fight, but he did. Miraculously, though, he ended up going down in the 12th round and then rose to his feet, beat the count and ended up, in most people's eyes, winning the fight. Ex-Manchester United midfielder Darren Gibson has joined Salford City on loan. He's reunited with former teammates Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, who are part owners of the League Two club. The 32-year-old came through the United youth system before winning the Premier League and 2 League Cups over a 4-year spell. Salford Red Devils' Mark Flanagan should return for the side for their game with Huddersfield. The forward is seen as a key player by coach Ian Watson. The Red Devils will be hoping for a second win of the Super League season after beating Toronto Wolfpack last time out.
Hello and welcome back to MMA Latest News. My name is James Sweetnam and I'm delighted to be joined by one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, Frank Mir. How you doing, mate?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, we're in Manchester top team today. You've been doing some seminars. Can you talk us through what you've been doing?
Basically, you come here to train, and then by doing seminars on top of that, this is part of my training. I really use teaching as an instruction for myself.
What happened to...
Diaz is cut up, but we know in the Diaz world that means nothing. They're always covered in claret. And Masvidal lands a couple of shots to the head. This is nearly over. How is Diaz still in this? He takes another. This could end in the first round. This could end right now.
Oh, this is not fun.
Diaz is cut to ribbons here. And Nate is in serious trouble of this fight getting stopped.
You gonna let him up?
Wow. We're going to be talking about the return of the biggest star in mixed martial arts. Of course, it's the notorious one, Conor McGregor. He's going to be back January the 18th at UFC 246 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Whittaker, Adesanya, the middleweight champion of the world versus the interim champion. And this one isn't going to be anything short of an absolute barn burner. It's a complete 50-50 fight in my view. Robert Whittaker, the champion from Australia, Israel Adesanya, the challenger, New Zealand. It's a trans-Tasman rivalry. There's going to be about 60,000 mad Australians packed into that stadium in Melbourne, and it'll be one hell of an atmosphere.
The champion, the official champion of the Tap Out Series, and the man to my left is Mr. Mitchell Ivey, the contender, looking to regain that BMF belt. James?
You can't regain, you've never won it, Johnny. I am the champion.
I believe he's won it unofficially.
He hasn't won it. He makes this thing up that he won it in some recording that never went out, but if it's not out, it doesn't exist. I have won this game 3 times over. I'm the best to ever take part. I beat Kieran, I beat Harry Williams, I've been wiping the floor with the competition. Mitch, you're not going to be any different, mate. I'm too quick, I'm too good, I word these things far too well. You break under the pressure. You were the world champion, you beat Tim Sylvia, and then obviously there was the motorbike accident. You showed so much mental fortitude to come back from that. Were there any dark days in that period? How did you get back into the cage?
Oh, you know what? Just one foot in front of the other, and knowing that you're always going to have bad days when you're first coming back. That's life itself.
Ooh.
Oh, wow!
And that's the...
That is incredible. Kevin Lee has just knocked out Gregor Gillespie.
Jesus.
The undefeated record is over. Left high kick. Wow.
Wow.
Mitch.
Wow, and Kevin Lee has
What
come back.
a knockout. Gregor Gillespie right now is in another dimension. And then there's one fight we all want to see. Israel Adesanya, John Jones, and why? Because beef sells. These two men have a rivalry. They're desperate to fight each other. Stylbender's the new man on the block. He's got such a talent. He was incredible against Robert Whittaker, wasn't he? He was brilliant in that fight against Kelvin Gastelum. He's a real superstar. And these two men are people who can potentially beat each other. Yoramar will grab a hold of him. He will take him down. He is going to be explosive. And Israel may have got for a fight with Kelvin Gastelum, but Yoramar is a completely different kettle of fish. He's too strong, too powerful, and when he hits you, your light switches off. The best fight I have ever seen. That's a very difficult one. Obviously, you know, Bisping had those wars with the likes of Dan Anderson Silva. Mark Hunt had that fantastic fight with Bigfoot Silva. But I'm going to go with one of my favourite fighters, Mr. Robert Whittaker. His second fight with Yoel Romero was absolutely incredible. The first fight was a war. Robert Whittaker got through it with an injured leg. The second fight, he only had one hand. He was basically knocked out in the 3rd and 5th rounds and scraped through it by the skin of his teeth. Rob Whittaker showing so much heart against Yoel Romero, who was an absolute Cuban monster, built like 10 bodybuilders, all put into one. And I think that was probably my favourite fight. However, after a week in the new gym,
Sherlock has had to adapt to the new normal, as some train in a social bubble and others in isolation.
It was very difficult trying to train people under strict conditions and isolated training. It's very hard to do. You can train with members of another household.
To meet some veterans.
Looked windy out there,
my
didn't it,
God.
Liv? It looked windy out there.
I was walking down here today, actually, and it's the first time in my life I was nearly swept off my feet from the wind. I've never felt that before.
I mean, I'm a man who usually wears shorts to university, but I'll be honest with you, even I'm a bit scared to go out in that weather.
Honestly, it's absolutely horrific, and I really do hope, I really, really do hope, because I really want summer, and I can't stand the rain anymore.
I actually prefer the rain to the summer. I'm more of a winter man, personally, but out there, there's not a lot you can do. It's a bit cold. Your weekend is written off. There's no going out, you're staying indoors.